What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Code Peterson tutorial. Today we're looking at College Football 25 Team Builder Beta. I made my alma mater, the Shattern State College Eagles. I like to call them the Harvard of the Panhandle of Nebraska. They have a small Division II football program, so obviously they're not in the game, and I wanted to put them in there so I could play as that team. I also made their historic rival, the University of Nebraska Kearney Lopers, and I want to show you what those look like and give you a few ideas to keep in mind when you start building your schools with Team Builder if your team or your school isn't already in the game. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So to begin with, when you're looking for logos and resources and like the official colors, I teach graphic design and web design, digital design, all those kind of things at the high school and college level. And I am kind of a nerd when it comes to branding and identity designs and all of that kind of thing. So what I do to make it as accurate as possible is I search for the name of the school and then I search for branding guide, and you'll find it sometimes called as an identity standard, visual branding, branding guide, a branding bible. All of the names are basically the same thing. So here I have Sharon State College Identity Standard Guide. When I click on that, it gives me all of the rules to follow when making marketing information or uh, merchandise for any school that's out there. Every college is going to have a branding guide. Every organization does, and they always have it on their webpage somewhere. When I look through here, the ones that are important to me for this, ooh, look at this, CSC logos and logo use. So I can find it on there. They have some examples for me to look at. Institutional colors. Here I can find the accurate hex values that I can, or RGB values that I can place into the colors for Team Builder and don't have to guess it or try to estimate what the colors are based off of the logo. So that's the first thing I wanted to show you. The second thing is when you're looking for a logo, sometimes, just to show you an example here, Shattern State College logos. If I do an image search, sometimes you'll find it like on a Wikipedia or Wiki Commons, something like that. And if you see the picture and it's got the checkered background, and you can save it as a PNG, then what that means is the background is going to be transparent. A lot of these teams on Team Builder, you'll see the logo with a white rectangle around the logo. We don't want that. We want to see like that kind of lighted, foggy background behind it, not a white rectangle between your logo and the background. So having a PNG with the background transparent, that allows you to do that. Now, some schools may not have their logo like that online to where you can find it. So if you bring your logo in, there's a few ways that you could do this. One of them, obviously, like I said, I teach a variety of digital media type classes. So I love Adobe Photoshop. There's also a cheaper program out there called Affinity Design, Affinity Illustrator, something like that. It's like $30 or $40 and is a great tool. Or if you don't want to spend any money for software that allows you to edit these, we're just looking for a free raster graphics program, which allows us to edit the pixels. So GIMP is a free program that has a lot of capability. And there's another one called Paint.net. Now, don't go to the website paint.net because weirdly enough, that's not where the site is. You have to search for paint.net, and that's the name of the program, not the web page. So those are downloadable programs also. They all kind of work the same way. When you open up the file, you're going to have some layers down here and it's going to have your logo on it. Sometimes there might be a little lock on there. You just have to click on it and remove the lock. Sometimes when you try to edit the graphic, it's going to say you need to rasterize the image first. And usually if you right click down here on the image, then you could go to rasterize layer. Now mine's already rasterized. Mine gives me a convert to smart object option. If yours is a smart object, it'll give you a rasterized layer image. Or option. So then you would select that, and then it's going to allow you to edit this. Or you open it up and it just lets you use this magic wand tool and click on it right away, which is nice. We click on that, click on the area we don't want with the magic wand tool. We'll press delete, and we just are removing the stuff we don't want in here. Easy as that. Once we're done, then we can go to File And every program's going to have something different. It's either going to be export, save as. In the case of Photoshop, they have save, save as, save a copy, export. Too many options. But what we can do is we can go to File, Save a Copy, and then in this little drop-down menu, we'll go down to the PNG because that is what's going to allow us to keep this transparency, and then we'll save it. If you accidentally push JPEG, then what's going to happen is it's going to put a default color in the background of this. It's going to fill all that in. It's going to undo what we just did. It's probably going to fill it in with white. So that's the first thing for the logo. Now, Shadron has an alternate logo on their helmets, which is just black and white, and the striping is black also. So I can still use this magic wand tool for something like that and click in the areas I don't want. I'll get rid of this shading here, and then also this eyeball. And then a nice little thing on Photoshop, if you have everything left and you want it all to be just one color, the remaining parts, you could use your Control L. And if I want it to be all black, I can just drag that output level all the way to the left-hand side. Or if I want it to be white, then I can bring this one all the way over to the right. So you can real easily make an alternate version of your logo if you want just an all white or an all black version or something like that. Okay, so that's the first thing on there. Also, I used Photoshop to just make a few other things like a Shadron State graphic. And for the rival of Carney, they have like a little bit different end zone. So I wanted to show you that too. So I have kind of the edges of the end zone, and then I have the word Carney on there. Boo Lopers, go Eagles. All right, so that is with Photoshop. Now, if you don't want to download any program and you just want to remove the background from a logo, there are some free options out there too online. One of them is Adobe. Like I said, I'm an Adobe fan, so you can go to search for Adobe Remove Background, and we have this little option here. Sometimes it works great. Sometimes, like all of these have their own pros and cons. So here's this graphic with the gray background. I'm going to drop that in there and let's see how it does. Okay, so as we look at that, it did remove the gray on the outside, but it got a little bit confused saying, you know what, I think this gray is part of the logo. And here it did some kind of goofy stuff there. So not a real great example on there. Let's look at this other one, which is remove.bg. And then I'll try this one, click and drag the logo in there. Nice. So that one pretty flawless actually. So it's kind of just having all these tools at your disposal where you can find those. I think back in the day with the original Team Builder that was for PS3 and Xbox 360, they had a remove background tool in there, I think, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so I'll remove those out of there. Go back to our branding guide. So here is the team. So if you're creating one, you would click create or add new. I already have mine made on here, so I'm going to kind of show you these and we'll go through these quickly and show you how this thing kind of works. I'm going to click edit. All right, and at the top, when you click here, you have your school info, so you can type in the school name, nickname, all that. There's the city and state. On the old version of Team Builder, you could choose geographically where the city is located on a map of the state. You cannot do that on this one. So hopefully they move past Team Builder beta and they add some features because there are some things that it's missing that I would like to see in there. The next thing we have on there is our logos. So you have primary, secondary, tertiary. And so basically you can use any of the ones they have on there if you want to go more the generic route, or you can add the little plus and then go to my uploads, and then you can click add and confirm, and you can upload your logos into here and then select it, and then you click apply, and then it puts it in here. And so I did that. You can upload multiple graphics, but you can only have like 3 major logos, but you can apply the other ones later. And I'll show you what I mean by that when we get to the uniform options. Over here, we have the colors. Usually when I'm done with one area, I'll kind of collapse the options so it doesn't get so busy here on the left-hand side. So for the colors, this is where these colors here come to play. You can select from the primary logo, but these pictures might not necessarily be 100% accurate for the colors where depending where you got them from. So what I like to do is like for the primary color, I would click add, and then over here in this branding guide, I find the hex value or the RGB, and I'm going to place that hex value. I'm also going to put the R, the G, and the B. So here they have them all there. And then you would click apply, and then I would do the same for secondary and tertiary. Now with those three colors, you can use any colors later on with your uniform. This here is it's kind of cool. It is a branding guide, a virtual branding guide, or digital one, I should say, that helps us to make it for our school. And I like this. Again, as a graphic design fan, this is pretty cool. Um, Done with colors. We have the apparel brand. So we have these Adidas, we have Nike, we have Under Armour, and Shattern. When I search image search of their uniforms online, we got the Adidas on there. If you let's say your team wore like Russell Athletic or something like that, um, you can always add that graphic in later and put it in as a layer, and I'll show you that here shortly too. Once we're done with this branding page. So there's the apparel brand, and then we have the fonts. Shattern doesn't have nameplates on the back of their uniforms, um, so that doesn't really matter to me too much. But then when I go in here to the fonts, then I can choose what fonts I want to use for the numbers and everything. So there is our branding information. Now let's go over to the uniforms. They let you have 5 uniforms. It's like, what? Only 5? But if you figure each one's going to have different jersey and pants and maybe helmet, that gives you a lot of mix and matches, a lot of possible combinations with that. So pretty awesome for that. I think back in the day, maybe you could have 3 or 4. We'll go here to the home, and we will start with the best part of the whole uniform, in my opinion. It's the awesome helmet. So with this on here, you have your helmet, you have your base color, and then you have the reflectiveness on there, all of that. Then you can go down here to the style, and you can choose what kind of stripings you want. I used this one right here. And so with the green, I changed it to my cardinal color. And for the blues, I switched that to black. And then the red area, I switched to white. So we could have that cool, almost retro type of striping on there, which is nice. Then after that, you have your reflectiveness for that. So your stripes have their own kind of material that they're made out of also. So that is kind of the first thing just to get you started with your helmet there, the main color and the stripe. All right, then we go down here to the custom layers. So this is awesome. I don't think you could do this in other versions of Teambuilder or create a team if you go way back to the PlayStation 2 days of NCAA football like '06 and all that. So in here, you can add these custom layers. By default, you have an EA Sports logo on there. I just deleted that and added a new custom layer. And I went to upload just like I did before, my uploads, and I uploaded this logo in here. And you can change the rotation of it. I said that I want this to be placed on the right. So as you notice here, the logo is just on the right-hand side. And then we go down here, and you can change the height if you want it more to the back or more to the front, and the scale of it. And then we click apply, and we have that logo on there, which works good. Now, if we go to the numbers and we select this, then you can choose the spacing of these numbers. You can choose the font style for it, the colors and everything. And then for the numbers for position 1, I put left. And so, yeah, I know for sure you couldn't have a stripe and the numbers and the logo all on the helmet at the same time, in the olden days of college football for the video game anyway. So that's a nice feature because Shadowrun does use that, and I like that where it has the number and the logo on there. You can also choose if you want a second position of the numbers, like if you want it on the other side or if you want it in the back or the front or whatever also. So there are the numbers. And I should say in here also, so you have the main color and then you have the outline. The outline for this, I just have white on the outside of it, but you can change whatever you want the outside of those to be for that design. Okay, then after that we have the jerseys. So same thing, you got your base color, you have your brand color on here that you can do. You can change the stitching, and depending on the stitching you use, you have different designs available for that. And then you have the sleeve designs. Now I'm a little disappointed that they don't have a whole bunch of options for the stripes over the shoulder. Again, hopefully that's something that they bring in later, and it is something I suppose you could do adding a custom layer to this, but I think they should make it a little bit easier than currently to do it like that. This is the stripe that we have on there. Shadowrun has kind of like a stripe that eventually it's like a your main stripe and then it kind of fades away with the pattern type of thing. And I couldn't find that exact one on here. So this I think looks is a good alternative for it. And then the outside of the color I chose is the cardinal, so you can't see it. And then the main stripe that I want on there is this, and that is white. I don't have a cuff design or a collar design. So that is kind of the main design of the uniform. When we go down to the plate, Shadow doesn't have a nameplate on the back, so I just remove that off of there. For the numbers, you have these on here, and you can adjust those accordingly and change the position and all that kind of thing with that. And then we go here to the custom layers. So this is what allows you to really kind of make your uniform as crazy as you want, because you can add up to 5 layers to it. Now Shadowruns don't have a whole lot of features. There is on the front of their jersey, it says Eagles. Now I do wish they had an option in here where it said, I could just type in the word Eagles and choose a font and have it in there. So instead I made this with Photoshop, and then I added a layer and I uploaded my graphic and I placed that in there. So it's again not the slickest of ways where they could have made that, and hopefully they let us do that later because I think it would just save a lot of time. I'd rather edit it in this than have to bounce back and forth. As much as I love Photoshop and I love Teambuilder, I don't want to be bouncing back and forth between the two all the time. Then we'll go down here to the pants, and again, choose your base color, your branding color. What the base are. Now with this, I don't really see a difference in these pants depending on the type with Adidas. Saturn has kind of a stripe that doesn't go all the way the width, and this kind of bothers me. But so with this one here, or with a lot of these different ones, you'll see this line that goes in the front and the back, and it's on several of those options. Now, if I change all these colors and everything, the black still stays there. Even if I switch these other colors to cardinal, it still shows up. And maybe it's not incredibly noticeable here, but it sure is on the away pants, and I don't like that one bit. I wish that, I mean, there's no reason to have that on there. Hopefully they get that patched out or to where you can change that color to white or whatever, or the whatever the pants color is, so you don't have to see it because it looks kind of weird and it bothers me. All right, so there's that. And then we'll go down here to the custom layers where you can add up to 11 layers on that. Pretty awesome yet again. Okay, then down here for the socks, I just went base color, brand color, and the undersock color all being basically the same. I mean, you can change these up a little bit. When the players run onto the field, when you import this into the video game, when you download it on College Football 25, you'll all the players are going to have their individual things that they wear. So some of them are just going to have their socks. Some of them are going to have the whole wrap. So you don't have to worry about all the players just looking like mummies, with that on there, but they just have you show what they would look like on there for that. So that is kind of cool. All right. So that is for the home. Then for the away, their away uniforms say Shattered State. So again, I can't type that there. So I had to upload my graphic that I made in Photoshop. And then the pants I had be white. And then I didn't change the socks or anything like that. And then they have an alternate gray uniform. And this is the one that has like the black uh, layer on here for this. So um, it's a different look for the helmet, but I could then theoretically mix and match that with the rest of the uniforms if I wanted to. So there's that. Then here is their uniform. Here's the pants. And then we have this here. So um, that's their alternate gray. Then for the throwback, I have an older looking helmet here where they use the maroon on there or the cardinal. And then older style uniform here, I did use the jersey designs that are on that. And then a simple pant. And then the throwbacks away, same thing, but away. All right, so that is kind of uniform. And by bringing in all those other graphics, you can upload them into those layers and really kind of customize this as much as you want, which is really cool. Now over here for the stadium, this bothers me a little bit. There are no generic stadiums. So that bothers me a lot, to be honest. Like you need to have some kind of stadium that doesn't have other markings on it. So here, the when I play the game, the fans will be wearing the colors that I want them to wear, and the field will look the way I want it to. And Appalachian State, Shattern, they call it the Rock sometimes. And so Appalachian State above their jumbotron, it says the Rock above it, and that's kind of cool because it's similar. But above that, it says Appalachian State, and there's this gold and black marking here on the buildings, and it, has this stuff up here, Appalachian State Athletic Complex. I don't want that on my Shattern game. It takes away from the presentation. Please, EA, at least bring back the generic ones so we don't see other school markings on there. There's no good reason why that shouldn't have been done. No good reason, only poor excuses. But up here we have the stadium name, Don Beebe Stadium, and then you can choose these, these schools that are in the game to have them in there to get it as close as you want. We go here to the crowd. This is pretty cool. So you can choose the two colors, like what the crowd is going to be wearing. Now, one thing I noticed when you bring this into the game, uh, it's a little bit lighter. Like this is a dark, and this is cardinal. It doesn't look like a bright pink, but like on the socks of the players and some of the fans and the coaches on the sideline, like this looks right, but their stuff looks like kind of a bright pink, which would be great if that was my color, or if you were having like the cancer awareness games and things like that, where sometimes teams will incorporate pink to the uniform, but I don't want it for my whole entire dynasty with that. So that's something you may need to play around with on that, adjusting those colors and things like that, and seeing if that can help, or changing the crowd colors and see if that works. But I do like this feature. Choose the crowd balance. Are they going to be wearing more maroon, or is there going to be more they're wearing white? I think that's awesome. Um, go down here to the surface. So you can choose turf or natural, and then what type of color. Customize that as much as you want just for that surface. And this is where you're going to see most of the game anyway. So even though Appalachian State markings are on the stadium, when I'm playing the game itself, it does make me feel like I'm watching a game. at Chatham State College. Then here for the logos, you can add your logo in here, and you can have secondary logos also. Chatham doesn't have them. And then you can also do your custom layers. So this is where I made a logo of Eagles, and I uploaded it in here and put it into the end zones. And then like each of these, it'll ask you where you want it: left end zone, midfield, right end zone, or custom. So you can place it somewhere else too. So this down here where it says Chatham State, I'd move that all the way down to the bottom. If you have like a conference logo or something like that, or some kind of a sponsor, or if it's like, I'm thinking of University of Nebraska where it said like Tom Osborne Field or something. You could put that into your design and make it look kind of cool. Uh, we go in here to the end zones. Otherwise, you have to just choose if you want checkered or a solid color or the diagonal markings. They do have some mountain looks and some stripings and some cool things. But again, why can't I just type in Eagles in the editor? Why do I have to create the word Eagles in Photoshop and then bring it in here to do that? It just wastes a lot of time. Same with the Chatham State. I would much rather just be able to type it in here if it's text related. For the numbers, you can change the fill color, the outline color. You can change the alignment of the arrows, all of that. You can change the field line colors. And like the 20-yard line and the 50-yard line, like Saturn has like kind of their cardinal surrounding on the 20-yard line. And then at the middle, they have a red, white, and blue. I was able to do that here by adding two colors. A nice little feature, a nice little touch when you're looking at that on the game. And then down at the goal line, you can change that too. You can even add if you want the G down at the goal line or not too. So pretty fun options. LSU, I think LSU, they have it every 5 yards, so you can do that here. You could put the number position in a college or pro if your team's playing in a professional football stadium. Nice attention to detail with that. Pretty cool. All right, down here to the sidelines, you can change what color and the different stripes, or if they're going to be one color on one side and a different color on the other. So Shattered Series is white on the outside, and then on the benches, you can add those colors there. So I made that white. That's how I was able to make the stadium. For the program, now obviously it's my first favorite college football team, is my all-time favorite, is where you went to school at. But it's a Division II, so if I was going to bring this into college football, I can't be making it a powerhouse. I mean, I suppose you could, but I want it to be something like eventually where I take this team and build it into Division I and make it a powerhouse. So I chose Cupcake for this just because they are Division II right now, and then they generate that information for you. Once you're done, then you click submit in there, and you're good to go. Okay, so I'll click save. I don't think I really changed anything, and I'm kind of going through and modifying this anyways. All right, and then if I want to go to my home screen again, I wanted to show you the one here for the Lopers. So if you want to make something that's more, it's not like a fancy one, but something where there are other elements, then basically, I don't know what the official dimensions are for the graphics in there on the game, like what I should make the end zones be, but I just typed in the name and made it look like the end zone from what I could see on the um on like a map of the stadium or from like an aerial image of the football field. And it's like this. And I didn't put the green in there or the blue in there because that's going to be on the field already. So I just have these bands on the side and then I have Carney on there. All right, so if I go in here and I go to edit, and then I find where we have the stadium. and go here to logos and custom layers. Basically, what I did with these was I chose end zone, and then there's this X and Y scale, and I just unclicked that, and then I clicked and dragged these until it was the perfect width and then the perfect height. Ordinarily, I would say don't try to stretch and narrow your logo to fit it into a space. But on this for this game, this is the only way I could think of to do it until I like take the time to figure out exactly how I can make that fit in there perfectly naturally. And again, hopefully, eventually, they'll have it to where we can just type our things in there and do some other customizable options in there. But there it is. That is our um, team builder. So Shatter and Save, still finishing up some finishing touches with it. And every time I look back in there, I'll see something that I want to change up to make it a little more accurate. It's a great start for it. I do wish, they don't have like choosing your mascot. They don't let us choose our fight song in there. When Shattern scores a touchdown, they have people that fire off a cannon. Why can't I have a group in there that fires off a cannon like the people like what happens when Army scores a touchdown in there? It's already in the game. Let us bring those things into this, and maybe having some kind of option where you choose how the players walk in or enter the field, and then certainly give us an option for the stadiums that don't use other markings on there. Every other example of Team Builder or the created team in all of college football games, you didn't. You had an option where there was just blank stadiums that don't look weird when you see your team playing in them. But there it is. I'd like to know how many of you are using Team Builder. How many of you have been making your schools on there because maybe you went to a smaller school and all that? I'd be curious to see. Let me know in the comments. And if you figure out how to change that black striping in the pant legs, let me know how you fix that too, because I'd be curious to know. I appreciate you watching. Have fun making these teams. Have fun with college football 25. It's been 10 years and it's great to have it back in our lives. And we'll hopefully catch you on another video.